In this video, you're going to see a problem on stock and data system of branch accounting and when goods are sent at invoice price. So the problem says X Limited of Kolkata has a branch at Delhi, and while sending the goods, they are sending it at cost plus 33.1 by 3%. So it means at invoice price of 33.1 by 3%. Then you have to prepare the branch stock account, the branch adjustment account, the branch debtors account, and the branch profit and loss account. So now if you look at the first account, that is the branch stock account, all items related to stock has to be shown under this account. So now if you look from the problem, you'll have the opening stock under the branch, that is for rupees 2400. Then you have sales, both cash sales and credit sales. So cash sales will be through bank account and credit sales will have to be transferred to the debtors account. Then we have goods from head office, that is the goods sent to branch from the head office. Then we also have the closing stock of branch at rupees 11,400. So that's why if you look from the branch stock account, it starts with the opening balance of stock for rupees 2,400. Then they receive the goods from the head office for rupees 72,000 at invoice price. That also appears on the debit side. Then out of these goods received from the head office and also out of the opening stock that they have sell it for cash and for credit. It means that the branch has sell it for cash and for credit. So this cash sales and credit sales will appear on the credit side of the branch stock account since it will decrease the stock. So if you look from the credit side of the branch stock account, fine, by bank account, that is cash sales for rupees 3,000, and also by branch debtors account, this is your credit sales for rupees 60,000, which also has to appear under the branch debtors account. Then after that we have to take the closing balance of stock for rupees 11,400. So both sides tally, so there's no deficit in stock or surplus in stock under this branch stock account. So remember, surplus stock will be there if the credit side is greater than the debit side of the stock account, and deficit in stock will be there if the debit side of the branch stock account is greater than the credit side. But in this case, both sides tally, so there's neither surplus in stock nor deficit in stock. Now, if you look at the next ledger, that is the branch adjustment account. So remember, this branch adjustment account will be there if only goods are sent at invoice price under the stock and debtor system. And remember, point to be noted here, under the branch adjustment account, only the loading on items related to stock will be shown under this ledger. So since under the branch adjustment account, only the loading on item related stock has been shown under this ledger. So now let's look at the working note on how loading has to be calculated. Now we know that the goods are being sent at cost plus 33.1 by 3%. So let us assume that the cost price is 100, then the profit will be 33.33 and the invoice price will be 133.33. So now if you have to find out the loading on opening stock, so we know that the opening stock is 2,400 and we have to find out how much is the the loading out of this 2,400. So into 1 by 4. So how do we get this 1 by 4? Is 33.33 divided by 133.3 will get 1 by 4. So that is why the loading on opening stock is 2,400 into 1 by 4 will get 600. Then the loading on closing stock, that is the closing stock is 11,400, then into 1 by 4 will get 2850. And the loading on goods sense, that is rupees 72,000 into 1 by 4 will get rupees 18,000. Now if you look at the branch adjustment account, the branch adjustment account starts with the loading on the opening stock, but the loading on opening stock, point to be noted, will appear on the credit side, and loading on both opening stock and closing stock have to be transferred to the stock reserve account. So that is why if you look from the credit side of the branch adjustment account, it says buy stock reserve, that is the loading on the loading on the opening stock for rupees 600 as we have seen from the working notes. Then after that we have to show the loading on goods sent to branch account, that is for rupees 18,000 according to the working note. So to make things simple, now you can see from the branch stock account, the opening stock appears on the debit side and the goods sent to branch appears on the debit side. So the loading of these two will appear on the credit side of the branch adjustment account. That is the simplest way to remember which side the loading on opening stock and goods sent to branch will appear on the branch adjustment account. And so also the loading on closing stock will appear on the debit side, that is to stock reserve account for rupees 2850. So you can see from the branch stock account, the closing stock appears on the credit side and the loading on the branch adjustment account appears on the debit side. So let me repeat it again, the loading on opening stock and closing stock has been transferred to the stock reserve account. So under this case, the credit side is greater than debit side, so the Balance left on the debit side will be the gross profit, which have to be transferred to the branch profit and loss account. Now the next ledger is the branch debtors account. So as we have done in the class, again it has to be started with the opening balance of debtors. So if you look from the problem, the opening balance of debtors rupees 6,000. Then we have the credit sales. So this credit sales has appeared in the branch stock account, so that's why it has been cross entry from the branch stock account for rupees 60,000, and it appears on the debit side. Then on the credit side, we have to show the cash received from debtors. So you can see from the credit side, by bank account for rupees 57,600, that is the cash received from debtors. Then we have two items which has to appear on the branch debtors account, that is the discount allowed to debtors and bad debt. So these two has been transferred to the branch expenses account, so it appears on the credit side by branch expenses account, discount allowed and bad debts for rupees 1,400 and for rupees 300. And since under this problem the closing balance of debtors has not been given, so the remaining balance from this ledger will be a closing debtors, that is for rupees 6,700. So now let's look at the branch profit and loss account. So the branch profit and loss account started with a gross profit on the credit side. So this gross profit has been taken from the branch adjustment account for rupees 15,750. And on the debit side, if you look at the debit side, the branch expenses account, this has been taken from the branch expenses account, that is discount allowed for rupees 1,400. Then we have bad debts for rupees 300, and also the cash expenses. So now in this case, cash expenses can see is the second last item from the problem, that is branch expenses paid by the head office for rupees 50,000, and this will appear on the debit side. Then if you compare the debit side and the credit side, the debit side is greater and the remaining amount will be your loss, and this loss will be transferred to the general profit and loss account.